Intelligence Type with Astrology Case Study. Pamela's chart is centered on a Scorpio ascendant in Anuradha, a nakshatra known for its loyalty, emotional depth, and spiritual determination. With Saturn, Sun, and Mercury all placed in this rising sign, her personality is anchored in precision, discipline, and an unwavering drive to understand and transform. Across the chart, we see strong expressions of intrapersonal, existential, linguistic, naturalist, and bodily kinesthetic intelligence, reflected through her planetary configurations and nakshatra influences. The first house conjunction of Saturn, Sun, and Mercury in Scorpio initiates a powerful blend of intrapersonal and linguistic intelligence. Mercury in Jayestha brings psychological depth and verbal acuity, while Saturn and the Sun in Anuradha deepen ethical awareness, self-discipline, and emotional insight. Pamela likely learns through intense self-reflection, tracking her thoughts, behaviors, and values with a keen inner eye. Her way of thinking is incisive and strategic, with language used as both analysis and protection. In the third house, Jupiter in Shravana brings forth expansive intrapersonal and existential intelligence. Shravana's association with learning and transmission amplifies Jupiter's philosophical tone, giving Pamela the ability to derive structured meaning from life experiences and share that meaning with others. She is likely a natural teacher or guide, someone who seeks to align beliefs with ethical frameworks and enjoys developing mastery through reflection and principle. Moon in Uttara Bhadrapada in the fifth house signals a sensitive and deeply rooted naturalist intelligence. This placement allows Pamela to feel into patterns, emotional, symbolic, and spiritual, with great internal resonance. Her emotional memory is likely vivid, and she is attuned to cyclical rhythms and the spiritual dimensions of thought. This gives her intuitive creative depth and a capacity for emotional storytelling or spiritual teaching rooted in compassion and clarity. Rahu in Ashwini in the sixth house drives Pamela's bodily kinesthetic intelligence through sharp instincts, energetic independence, and a strong drive for action. Ashwini grants pioneering energy, while Rahu amplifies both the originality and the obsessive focus needed to physically engage with challenges and systems. She may work best in somatic practices, intense training environments, or professions requiring quick thinking and fast, embodied responses. In the 11th house, Mars in Hasta supports her bodily kinesthetic and spatial intelligence, especially in relation to social goals and leadership through skill. Mars in this precise and dexterous nakshatra suggests Pamela has a strong sense of physical coordination, strategic problem solving, and effective action. She can achieve through effortful refinement, a blend of drive and craft, likely excelling in fields where her hands, systems thinking, and efficiency all intersect. Finally, in the 12th house, Venus in Vishaka and Ketu in Swati open pathways into existential intelligence. Vishaka brings spiritual ambition and transformative desire, while Swati adds detachment and psychic clarity. These placements suggest Pamela has an inner world shaped by longing, transcendence, and subtle discernment. Her intelligence here manifests as intuitive synthesis, the ability to retreat, see beyond the veil, and emerge with insight that guides both self and others. Together, Pamela's intelligence profile is one of introspective rigor, spiritual fluency, and action-based refinement. She processes life through layers: emotion, ethics, sensation, and philosophy, using each to sharpen her awareness and guide her toward meaningful expression and influence. Career based on intelligence for Pamela. Pamela's Scorpio ascendant in Anuradha, conjoined by Saturn, Sun, and Mercury, gives her a powerful foundation of psychological discipline, focused will, and language rooted in emotional truth. Her chart expresses a blend of intrapersonal, linguistic, existential, bodily kinesthetic, and naturalist intelligence, giving her the capacity to thrive in careers that require deep insight, emotional strength, refined action, and ethical leadership. Her first house alignment, Saturn, Sun, and Mercury, reflects a career identity anchored in intrapersonal and linguistic intelligence. Pamela likely communicates with depth and clarity, often using language as a way to organize emotion and power. She is well suited for roles such as trauma-informed counselor, therapist, strategist, or research analyst, Any position requiring precision, psychological depth, and the ability to translate emotional truth into actionable insight. With Mercury in Jayestha, her intelligence carries a maturity and observational edge that makes her words land with quiet authority. Jupiter in Shravana in the third house supports her as a communicator, teacher, or advisor, someone who embodies intrapersonal and existential intelligence through ethical voice and lived philosophy. She may be drawn to spiritual education, systems teaching, or belief-based mentoring, environments where structure meets wisdom. Her ability to speak from experience and synthesize learning into frameworks would make her highly effective in one-on-one coaching, adult education, or spiritual facilitation. In the fifth house, her moon in Uttara Bhadrapada supports naturalist intelligence rooted in emotional pattern, spiritual timing, and intuitive teaching. Pamela may find fulfillment in fields where rhythm, compassion, and symbolic insight guide her work, including conscious parenting, mythic storytelling, esoteric psychology, or devotional creativity. Her emotional depth gives her natural authority in guiding others through complex transformation or emotional awakening. With Rahu and Ashwini in the sixth house and Mars in Hasta in the 11th, Pamela carries a strong current of bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Rahu in Ashwini fuels energetic drive and service-based independence, while Mars in Hasta provides her with skilled, strategic precision in action, especially in leadership or systems building. These placements suggest she could thrive in professions involving holistic health, healing arts, medical strategy, or any field requiring fast response and focused effort, especially if it blends physical action with mental acuity. Her 12th house placements, Venus in Vishaka, Ketu in Swati, activate existential intelligence through privacy, detachment, and spiritual transformation. Pamela may find her true work in settings that require emotional maturity and soul-centered perspective, retreat design, energetic healing, spiritual counseling, or roles that blend sensuality with moral refinement. Her aesthetic and spiritual instincts are well developed, allowing her to translate beauty into evolution and intimacy into elevation. Altogether, Pamela is built for work that combines insight, embodiment, and integrity. She does not chase attention. She magnetizes it through emotional clarity, thoughtful action, and elegant reserve. Whether guiding others through emotional change, designing refined systems, or leading with quiet impact, her intelligence expresses in depth rather than volume. Her ideal career integrates transformation, language, structure, and soul, offering others not just solutions, but access to the deeper rhythm of truth. Intelligence type with astrology case study, Ravi's ascendant is in Punarvasu, Cancer, giving his personality a nurturing, emotionally attuned, and idealistic nature. Punarvasu's qualities of optimism and reinvention activate Ravi's intrapersonal and existential intelligence. He learns by reflecting on his emotions, sensing life's underlying patterns, and aligning his outer choices with inner values. Cancer's receptivity further refines this introspective mode, suggesting he draws meaning from memory, emotional cycles, and the instinct to bring emotional life into balance. In the second house, Ketu in Magha strengthens his existential intelligence with a focus on value systems, family legacy, and vocal expression. This placement gives Ravi a deep spiritual detachment from material possessions while still carrying a regal, ancestral sense of pride and self-worth. He may show early interest in history, archetypes, or symbolic language, and he's likely drawn to unraveling hidden truths or teaching from ancient traditions, especially where voice, wealth, or values are concerned. His moon in Swati in the fourth house brings in a strong stream of emotional and interpersonal intelligence, grounded in Libra's diplomatic air and Swati's independent sensitivity. Ravi processes emotion through balance, grace, and subtle navigation. This placement supports work in emotional systems, whether personal, architectural, or community-based. He learns best in peaceful environments and feels most grounded when allowed intellectual freedom within emotionally harmonious structures. Venus in Jeshta in the fifth house links musical, emotional, and interpersonal intelligence to his creative expression, education, and romantic tendencies. Jyeshta's depth and psychological complexity offer Ravi the ability to create or mentor from an emotionally refined space, making him well-suited for teaching, arts, therapeutic creativity, or mentorship roles. His creativity comes through intense emotional intelligence, able to translate deep feeling into layered expression, whether verbal, aesthetic, or relational. In the sixth house, Ravi carries both Saturn in Mula and Sun in Purva Ashada, integrating existential, logical, and intrapersonal intelligence in his daily life and problem solving. Saturn brings responsibility and structure to routine, while the Sun here adds clarity, courage, and moral discernment. Mula's depth supports emotional deconstruction and analysis, and Purva Ashada inspires victorious leadership through emotional conviction. Ravi likely thrives in environments requiring ethical resilience and self-mastery. His Mercury in Uttara Ashada in the seventh house contributes linguistic and interpersonal intelligence in relationships, negotiations, and shared projects. He processes partnerships through rationality and a desire for purposeful collaboration. Mercury in this solar nakshatra lends clarity in legal, philosophical, or administrative communication, suggesting Ravi may find strength in partnership-based leadership, conflict resolution, or cooperative teaching. Rahu in Shatabisha in the eighth house activates deep existential and pattern-based intelligence, especially regarding transformation, psychology, and hidden knowledge. Ravi may be drawn to esoteric studies, systems thinking, or the healing arts, particularly in unorthodox or technology-based modalities. He has the capacity to decode emotional structures or subconscious patterns and is likely pulled toward reform, healing, or consciousness studies that bridge logic and mystery. Finally, Mars in Revati in the ninth house energizes bodily kinesthetic, spiritual, and moral intelligence through action-oriented belief. Ravi's ethical stance and spiritual courage are expressed in motion through travel, performance, or teaching that connects higher ideals to lived experience. Revati's compassionate depth adds a desire to protect and guide others, often quietly, through life's larger lessons. Altogether, Ravi's intelligence network is emotionally rich, philosophically precise, and deeply rooted in pattern recognition, symbolic insight, and emotionally attuned expression. He learns best through inner integration, creative reflection, and spiritual clarity, carrying the capacity to guide, heal, or structure the world around him with soulful presence and intellectual refinement. Career based on intelligence for Ravi. Ravi's Cancer ascendant in Punarvas, paired with Moon in Swati and Ketu in Maga, outlines a career path rooted in emotional depth, ethical clarity, symbolic insight, and communicative grace. His primary intelligence types, intrapersonal, existential, linguistic, emotional, and musical, position him for work that blends empathy, intellect, and meaningful expression. He is best suited to roles where he can guide, educate, harmonize, or heal, often from a place of quiet influence and inner knowing. His Ketu and Maga in the second house gives him ancestral intuition and a spiritual approach to value and speech. This supports work in oral tradition, heritage-based storytelling, esoteric teaching, or wisdom-based consulting. Ravi may have a gift for carrying forward what is noble, refined, or archetypal, especially in fields like mythic education, voice training, or legacy-centered mentorship, where spiritual detachment and eloquence merge. With Moon in Swati in the fourth house, Ravi brings emotional intelligence and interpersonal diplomacy to inner environments, making him well-suited for roles in counseling, community harmony, architecture of emotional spaces, or conflict resolution. Swati's air element allows for elegant detachment and tactful mediation. He may thrive in situations where balancing others' emotional needs with intellectual freedom is vital. Venus in Jyeshta in the fifth house links his creative intelligence with psychological depth. Ravi could excel in therapeutic arts, creative mentoring, or emotionally layered storytelling, particularly in one-on-one or small group contexts. Jyeshta gives him the ability to lead without ego, to inspire from lived wisdom, making him effective in guiding younger minds, transforming emotional blocks through creativity, or mentoring others in emotionally charged fields like relationships, trauma, or artistic identity. The Sun and Saturn in the sixth house suggest a strong work ethic and ethical intelligence in service-based professions. With Sun in Purva Ashada and Saturn in Mula, Ravi is built for reform-driven, philosophical, or truth-centered leadership within structured systems. He may thrive in spiritual administration, ethical coaching, emotional justice advocacy, or systems of holistic discipline where resilience, insight, and service intersect. His Mercury in Uttara Ashada in the 7th house favors linguistic intelligence in partnerships, negotiation, and client-facing communication. Ravi may be drawn to coaching, conflict mediation, educational consultancy, or spiritual teaching, roles that require verbal clarity, ethical depth, and steady diplomacy. His gift lies in being able to communicate difficult truths with tact, groundedness, and insight. Rahu in Shatabisha in the 8th house adds transformative power to his intelligence. He may be pulled toward healing technologies, energetic systems, or emotional pattern decoding. This placement suits roles in trauma work, depth psychology, or integrative healing, where he can combine emotional intelligence with systemic thinking and a deep curiosity for what lies beneath. He may also be effective in emerging tech and consciousness research, especially where mysticism and logic intersect. Finally, Mars in Rivada in the 9th house supports spiritually active and kinesthetic intelligence in pursuit of meaningful contribution. Ravi may channel his drive into soulful movement practices, ethical travel, spiritual coaching, or creative spiritual expression. Ravati gives compassion, Mars gives action. This combination supports professions where emotional courage and embodied belief align. Altogether, Ravi is best aligned with careers that allow him to translate emotion into wisdom, values into action, and silence into meaning. He excels in fields where ethical leadership, symbolic understanding, healing through communication, and emotional precision are needed. His work is meant to nurture transformation, not through dominance, but through presence, clarity, and emotional depth. Intelligence type with astrology case study. Yolanda's ascendant in Uttara Ashada, Sagittarius, establishes a foundation of intrapersonal and existential intelligence, expressed through dignity, principle, and structured insight. Sagittarius offers a lens of high-minded optimism and idealism, while Uttara Ashada imparts responsibility, commitment, and moral leadership. Yolanda's personality is likely oriented around integrity, long-term vision, and ethical decision-making. She is intrinsically guided by her beliefs and finds it natural to lead through wisdom and steady presence. Her Moon, Venus, Mercury, and Mars, all in the 4th house, Uttara Bhadrapada and Revati, Pisces, form a powerful emotional and cognitive core. The Moon in Uttara Bhadrapada sharpens her emotional and intrapersonal intelligence, giving her depth, spiritual sensitivity, and emotional stamina. Venus and Mercury in the same sign and house amplify musical and linguistic intelligence, suggesting Yolanda learns and expresses through emotional resonance, speech, and beauty. Her intelligence is rhythmic, empathetic, and attuned to subtle emotional nuances. Mars in Revati contributes bodily kinesthetic intelligence, offering active empathy, a healing instinct, and intuitive physical expression. Together, this cluster gives her the capacity to understand, express, and move emotion with grace and impact. In the 5th house, her Sun in Ashwini, Aries, supports interpersonal and leadership-based intelligence. Ashwini is a pioneering nakshatra ruled by Ketu and linked to healing, urgency, and clarity of purpose. Yolanda's mind likely fires quickly and instinctively in creative or educational settings, especially where quick discernment and passionate leadership are needed. Her intelligence here is fast, focused, and meant to initiate, ideal for innovation in children's education, thought leadership, or values-driven communication. Her Jupiter in Pushya, 8th house, brings deep intrapersonal and ethical intelligence to transformational work. Pushya, ruled by Saturn, provides stability and emotional nourishment. Jupiter in this water nakshatra suggests Yolanda can access higher truths, esoteric insight, or healing frameworks that nourish the emotional body. She likely has a gift for guiding others through psychological or spiritual transition, blending ethics with healing knowledge in powerful, structured ways. In the 9th house, Rahu and Saturn in Purva Falguni, Leo, activate existential and aesthetic intelligence in philosophy, belief, and higher values. Rahu's presence here draws her toward unorthodox or visionary belief systems, while Saturn adds grounding and precision. The result is a mind that integrates creativity, ethics, and expansive thinking, ideal for developing or teaching new paradigms in psychology, spirituality, or moral leadership. Ketu in the second house, Purva Bhadrapada, Aquarius, reinforces Yolanda's existential and verbal intelligence, but from a place of detachment. She may be less attached to wealth or conventional communication, instead using voice and expression to reveal deeper truths, often challenging societal norms. This placement often supports spiritual speech, poetic symbolism, or philosophical writing, particularly where universal themes are concerned. Altogether, Yolanda's intelligence configuration centers on principled insight, emotional perception, aesthetic expression, and ethical leadership. She is likely most fulfilled in vocations that allow her to integrate spirituality with emotional wisdom or leadership with compassion, such as teaching, therapy, healing arts, spiritual mentoring, or creative education. Her mind doesn't just solve problems, it sees through them, building bridges between the inner world and outer contribution with truth, beauty, and soulful clarity. Career based on intelligence for Yolanda. Yolanda's Sagittarius ascendant in Uttarashada gives her a natural alignment with leadership, ethical clarity, and purpose-driven action. This nakshatra endows her with the will to pursue enduring truths and translate vision into meaningful service. With dominant intelligences in the intrapersonal, existential, linguistic, musical, and emotional domains, Yolanda is suited for a career that blends empathy, wisdom, communication, and structured healing. Her ideal path involves leading with integrity and expressing emotional truth through presence, language, and artistry. Her fourth house stellium in Pisces, Moon in Uttara Bhadrapada, Venus and Mercury in Revati, and Mars also in Revati, creates a nurturing and emotionally intelligent foundation. Yolanda is equipped for work in healing arts, emotional education, or spiritual mentorship, especially in spaces that require subtle listening and symbolic awareness. Venus and Mercury elevate her musical and linguistic intelligence, making her naturally expressive through speech, writing, music, or visual storytelling. She may be especially gifted in therapeutic communication, guided journaling, or sound-based healing. The Moon in Uttara Bhadrapada brings emotional maturity and intrapersonal wisdom to her process. She can hold emotional weight without collapsing into it, a rare quality in professions requiring deep holding. Yolanda could serve as a spiritual counselor, grief guide, or mentor to those navigating emotional transitions, blending empathy with structure and clarity. Her presence offers emotional depth, and her emotional intelligence works best in one-on-one or small group work that seeks spiritual coherence. Her sun in Ashwini in the fifth house activates interpersonal intelligence and kinesthetic leadership in creative or educational spaces. She may be drawn to youth mentorship, innovative teaching, or expressive leadership, where quick thinking and emotionally charged initiation are vital. This placement supports roles in coaching, intuitive performance work, or inspiration-based facilitation, particularly when it involves guiding others to take bold, soul-aligned action. Jupiter in Pushya in the eighth house supports a capacity for emotional healing and philosophical transformation. This placement leans toward careers in psychotherapy, integrative wellness, or ethical leadership within spiritual or psychological spaces. Pushya's nurturing nature, fused with Jupiter's expansive truth-seeking, allows Yolanda to offer safe and steady frameworks for people moving through emotional rebirth, shadow integration, or relational healing. Her Rahu and Saturn in Purva Falguni in the ninth house give her a rare blend of visionary creativity and disciplined existential intelligence. She is likely to pursue unconventional wisdom systems, but bring them into structured form. This suits roles in curriculum development, spiritual teaching, or creative moral leadership, where she can articulate values through accessible formats. She may be drawn to create her own learning models, combining beauty, ethics, and emotional resonance. Finally, Ketu in the second house gives her a detached symbolic voice, perfect for spiritual teaching, poetic guidance, or soul-centered communication. She may express herself through writing, teaching, or storytelling that challenges norms and reorients people toward deeper truth. Her verbal intelligence isn't transactional. It's transformative, refined for emotional impact and philosophical precision. Altogether, Yolanda is best suited for a career path that synthesizes healing, teaching, storytelling, and emotional mentorship. She thrives where she can guide others through complexity toward clarity, especially in environments where depth, grace, and moral structure are not just welcomed, but needed. Whether she works in spiritual education, counseling, creative facilitation, or therapeutic arts, Yolanda leads through a soft but steady rhythm, one that nurtures transformation without force.